Hey everyone, Bronco here. My best friend Jason and I are working on a game called Block Miner, a puzzle game about manipulating and matching blocks to create chain reactions. In the last devlog, I mentioned that I would be talking about sound design next, so let's talk about sound design. Designing sounds for Block Miner has been a roller coaster ride. While not every sound is done yet, I still think there's enough here to talk about. So much so that I'm splitting the devlogs focusing on sound design into multiple parts. Now, let's start at the beginning. Before I started designing sounds for Block Miner, I took a moment to reflect and think about the tools that I have at my disposal and how best to utilize them. I was also determined to create most of the sounds from scratch without drawing from any existing sound library, basically continuing what I had started with some placeholder sounds 2 years ago. Because Block Miner is a game with a pixel art aesthetic, it was obvious that I needed to use digital tools over analog ones to produce these retro kind of qualities. I saw no better reason than to continue to use my favorite software synth and go-to sound design tool, Faceplant. But I wasn't 100% sold on embracing the pixel art aesthetic for every sound. I wanted to mix in some organic qualities, so I would rely heavily on Foley. I would record Foley using my phone, contact mic, or this mic in my hands. So I concluded that combining Faceplant and Foley would be the way to go. Having done music production and sound design in Ableton Live for a few years, I saw no reason to switch dolls. But I wanted to try something new for the sound engine. I investigated two of the most popular sound engines, Wise and Fmod. I had been interested in gaining experience in one of these sound engines for a while, and after doing my research, I concluded that Fmod was the way to go for me. But there were two caveats. First being that Fmod did not officially support Godot integration, and second, the Fmod plugin I would choose lacked C# bindings. Yes, Block Miner is a Godot.NET project. For the latter caveat, I created a script to provide utility methods that could be invoked by my C# scripts. It's hacky, but at least allows me to use Fmod. With everything in place, it was now time to start making sounds. Now I want to make it clear that most of the sounds that you will hear in this video have been through multiple rounds to get to where they are now. And a few of them still probably need another round or two. There was a lot of trial and error here just to find the right balance of digital and organic, realism and stylized. Let's start with the blocks, specifically the block mining sound. I recorded multiple rock impact sounds here at home, as well as other sounds like these coins landing on weight plates. One of my first passes at this sound consisted of multiple layers of these recordings, sampled and resampled in Faceplant, and put through plenty of post-processing. My initial reaction was that it sounded too realistic, so I recorded things that were analogous to what I had for more personality or character, like mouth clicks. I tried mixing those sounds with the original, then tried them on their own, and none of it worked. I got so desperate at one point that I sampled YouTube videos of real-life mining. After a much needed break from the block sounds, I returned feeling refreshed and ready to take on a new approach. I decided to start over with the block sounds, and this time I wanted to focus on keeping the sounds simple. So instead of 4 to 8 layers of sound, I wanted to target 2 to 3. Around this time, I visited one of my best friends in Philadelphia, and I thought it was the perfect opportunity to record new Foley. Since the majority of the blocks are rock-based, I knew I just needed one sound that would remain consistent for most of the block types. I needed a bass layer. The recording I chose for the bass layer was taken during a short hike in Philly. At one point, we were by a stream of water, and of course there were tons and tons of rocks around, so I kind of just grabbed a few and started hitting them against each other and dropping them and doing all sorts of things with the rocks. To give the sound more bottom end, I combined it with a kick drum sample provided by Ableton. And those two sounds together with some EQ and very basic post-processing creates this. Now, mining a gemstone block needed to sound familiar to mining a vanilla block. I wanted the gemstone mining sound to have a sharp, glassy kind of quality. I recorded fully with high frequencies, such as this loose chain that I found during one of my walks in Philly, but the real winner was actually these bells that I found in a thrift shop. After some EQ, gating, and volume modulation from a shaper, I got this. This was the glass-like layer that I wanted, and all I had to do now was just stack it on top of the vanilla block mining sound. The TNT block also has a mining sound. Really, it's just being damaged by the player's pickaxe. So what I did was just replace the base layer that I talked about earlier with this recording I took behind a bakery while I was in Philly. And that created the TNT mining sound. Because I touched on this balance between realism and stylized, I wanted to recount this experience I had while working on the block pushing sound. I initially went for something realistic. The sound I produced from these recordings went like this. It was fine at first, but the more I played the game with this sound in it, the more I just got annoyed. It was realistic, but it was just way too abrasive, and you would be hearing it quite a lot, being that pushing blocks was kind of a common action in the game. I played around with the sound multiple times, but each time I just sort of ended up with a similar result. So I decided to take an entirely different approach to this sound. Maybe the block doesn't make the sound, but the player does. I thought back to one of my favorite games of all time, Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. All the force powers you use in the game have a sound, so I figured the pushing in Block Miner could be like the force push in that game. I ended up with this sound for Block Miner. And that's a wrap on part 1 of the Block Miner sound design series. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you've seen here, please leave us a like. And if you want to follow Jason and I on this journey to completing Block Miner, please subscribe as well. Thanks again, and see you next time.